Ends are not as much of a factor this game because both players are only playing one N, so we're probably won't be seeing too many ends to 1 or 2, but with both players also playing for BS Seeker and Battle Compressor, we could see it. Here, Jason, Ultra Balls, and Empoleon, and BS Seeker. He's probably gonna get an Eevee here. So his hand's not bad. Attaches DCE to Eevee and ends. Here he's going to be looking for Battle Compressors, more Ultra Balls, and a supporter. Would be a pretty ideal hand for him here. He really wants to get Eevees on the bench and Pokemon discard right now. His ideal start would be to get Empoleon turn 1 with Archies, like Dylan Bryan did last round, but he doesn't have that, so we will see what he gets. So here he gets multiple Pokemon. He gets a Ditto and a Swirlix. Swirlix will evolve into Slurpluff, which will draw him 1 card per turn, unless it is active, which in that case it will draw him 2. So Jason town maps after benching his Pokemon and passes the turn. He does have VS Seeker, so he'll be able to end again next turn. Not the best hand because he didn't get Battle Compressor, but not the worst hand either. Here, Ben starts off by Battle Compressoring. Will likely either get 3 Night Marchers or 2 Night Marchers and a supporter, which he will use a VS Seeker to get the supporter and play it. Both of their starting Pokemon, I would say that are not their best starters, but Ben's is definitely better than Jason's. Jason does not want to start out Dino, I don't think. It's also not the worst starter though. So he gets 3 Night Marchers, which means he probably has a supporter. Yep, so if he has a Juniper. This is a really strong start from Ben. He could take a knockout starting turn 1. If he has a double colorless energy and a Dimensional Valley. So Ben's gonna Ultra Ball, get a Joltik. I could see him benching this Joltik as opposed to discarding it, since he doesn't really need to do that much damage. He already has 5 Night Marchers in the discard at this point. So he doesn't really need to do more than 100 damage most of the time. He'll only need to hit 140 for Empoleon. That's the most HP Pokemon in Jason's deck that will be attacking, potentially. Unless he will play down Deoxys. In which case Ben would only need to get more Pokemon in this card if he was not attacking with a Mew or a Pumpkaboo, because Deoxys is weak to Psychic. Here, Ben Battle Compressors again for Archies and Empoleons and another Night Marcher. He did bench the Joltik like I thought he might. Joltik is probably the best Night Marcher to have on the bench because it lets you Night March for 1 energy with a Dimensional Valley in play, or just a DCE without a Dimensional Valley in play, where the other Night Marchers, aka Pumpkaboo, cost 3 energies. Ben was unable to get the turn 1 Archies and Empoleons, so he settles for Juniper, which is not bad considering his start. It looks like he whiffed an energy though. He whiffed a DCE and a Dimensional Valley, or a way to retreat, and a way to attack. So Jason comes out of that turn unscathed. Here it looks like Jason is going to get a Battle Compressor, discard some stuff, put a Juniper in the discard, and then be a Seeker for his Juniper, and play it. He Battle Compressors 2 eggs, or he Battle Compressors 1 egg and discard the other. Either way, he has 2 egg in the discard. Gonna be really good for when he has to Ultra Ball and such. He is unable to find his 1 Float Stone, so he's unable to attack this turn. Same. He did hit an energy though, but can't attack. He did get the Slurpuff as well. So Jason's has a strong start. Ben whiffed an energy, but it looks like he has acrobiked. Discarded an energy. I believe he got a... okay, so he entered Joltik. I'm not sure what he got off the acrobike, but if he discarded an energy, that means he most likely will be able to get an energy this turn. Okay, so Ben's discarding his Manectric EX. I agree with that. I would not play it down in this matchup because it creates an unfavorable prize trade for yourself. In EX, when it is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards as opposed to 1, which is once your opponent takes 6 prize cards, that's the win condition of the game. So if you're trading basics for EXs, you're 2 for 1ing yourself, which is not good. So he does not want to use that in this matchup. It's mainly for Yveltal and things that are weak to lightning. Here, Ben will play Juniper. Acrobike. Since he discarded an energy, hopefully he hits one here. He's just banking on himself hitting an energy. Here, if he's attaching to the Joltik, it makes me think that he actually can't attack again. Ben only plays 1 switch, so if he does, and 1 escape rope. So if he doesn't hit a switching effect and a Dimensional Valley, he will not be attacking yet again. I'm not sure why Ben chose to VS Seeker that turn. Unless he's thinking Jason might trump card him or something. But there's almost no likelihood of Jason actually toad locking him, which is generally why people VS Seeker first before they end their turn, is to avoid getting your VS Seeker locked out by a Quaking Punch. Anyways, here Jason Ultra Balls, discarding a Leafeon and Empoleon. Gonna get an EV. Looks like VS Seekers. Gets a Juniper. Probably going to play the Juniper. Yep. On the topic of VS Seeker, it's just generally better to hold it if you know your opponent cannot lock it, because it is more versatile as a VS Seeker than whatever support you're going to get, because it allows you to get any supporter if you change your mind on what you want to get. So here, Jason Junipers. It looks like his hand is not terrible. I believe I see another Juniper in his hand, so he had an energy, he has an Ultra Ball, he has other Juniper. He did not forget the tasting this turn, so that's good. He draws the 1 card. He gets a Training Stadium, which is he holds because he wants to use it to counter Dimensional Valley, and he Hip Bumps. Hip Bump is an attack on Audino that does 30 damage, and its effect is if your opponent tries to attack you, they have to flip a coin. If tails, Hip Dump prevents the attack of the defending Pokemon. So if Ben retreats out of Pumpkaboo, the Hip Bump ability, the Hip Bump effect will no longer be in place. Here, Ben benches another Joltik, so he knows that he doesn't need more Night Marcher than discard, and that he actually will need to use them to attack to prize trade efficiently, as opposed to using stuff like Mew EX. Here, he's really just digging for DCE Dimensional Valley. If he was an attack this turn, that's really devastating to him. He's just getting some really crappy luck, honestly, if he whiffs an attack this turn. Okay, so he hits a switch. He gets a DCE. He's going in with Pumpkaboo, I believe. If he didn't hit a Dimensional Valley, I would be concerned about why he's doing this, but is there a Dimensional Valley in play? I can't tell. It might be that card on the far top. Not 100% sure. I'm just going to assume that it's in play. It might be the card that's the glare at the top. It's hard to see it, but I have to assume it's in play since he was able to attack. So here, Jason draws, promotes Flareon, and he'll play it where he has to play out. He has 1 Flareon prized, as you can see. He will Computer Search, discard eggs, and probably just get another Flareon. Leafeon is not as ineffective attacker in this matchup because Ben usually only has 2 energies on play at most, 2 to 3. Or at least against Pumpkaboo. Here it actually is good since he had to attach a Lightning to Joltik. Leafeon will one-shot Pumpkaboo. But I notice a lot of the time in the matchup, they just only have 1. They attach their energy and then they attack, and that's usually all the energy they have in play. In this case, Ben preemptively attached to Joltik the turn before, hoping to try to attack with it. So now he has 3 energy in play, which means Leafeon is viable, but I would still get the Flareon here. After this Pumpkaboo is knocked out, Ben probably won't have 3 energies in play again for a while, unless he just decides to attach DCE to another Pumpkaboo. Haley, I have a question. Can you ask Dylan if there's a Dimensional Valley in play? If there's a Dimensional Valley in play? Because there's like one glared out card on the top that I can't tell. Because there might have been a gameplay. I'm honestly just not sure. I'm assuming it's a Dimensional Valley though. Okay, so that glared out card is a Dimensional Valley. I assumed it had to be. Both players are very good, they would have noticed, but I just want to make sure that there are no gameplay errors. Because I know sometimes if I play a deck sometime and I'm like not paying attention, sometimes I might make that mistake of just assuming I have it in play just because I have it in play most of the time. So here, anyways, Ben's going to use Pumpkaboo's Night March attack, knock out the Flareon that was active. Jason's going to promote Slurpluff, and he will use Tasting to draw 2 cards off the top of his deck. And then we'll go from there. Appears that he trump carded first. He'd really remember to propagate his eggs before he trump carded. He's going to Battle Compressor, double Battle Compressor. Okay. I'm thinking that the reason he trump carded there was because he honestly doesn't need many Pokemon in the discard, especially if he has 2 Battle Compressors, and getting the resources back, like the DCEs and the Flareon, are good enough this turn. Like, he probably has whatever he wants in his hand. Like, he already has an energy. He actually has whatever he wants on the board, because he already has a DCE, so this is a good turn trump card. I can't stress how important trump carding on a turn that you can afford to trump card is. I see a lot of players not do that. They can have a turn to trump card, but they dig for something that they don't actually need on that turn for some reason, when they could just trump card. Okay, so here, Jason countered Dimensional Valley with Training Center, or Stadium, and then Ben recounters the Training Center with another Dimensional Valley. He plays 4 of them, as all Night March decks do. Plays Battle Compressor, has an energy on the Pumpkaboo, 30 damage. So he's going to knock out the Flareon. And here's where I was talking about the prize trade becomes much easier for Night March to do. Night March does not need much to set up, so he will constantly be knocking out Flareons with minimal effort, whereas Jason has to go find Flareon, he has to go find DCE. Once he gets this Flareon knocked out, he'll have to find a Flareon for his next one, and then he'll have to find EVs to bench to set up another Flareon or another Leafeon. Then he'll have to find more energies. It's just much more of a struggle for Flareon to stream attackers than it is for Night March to stream attackers. Later in the game, we'll see N come into play, and that will likely determine the game. Jason did have a decent start because Ben whiffed so hard early game, and Jason was able to pull ahead slightly, so that may save him in the end, but we'll have to see how it plays out. It's going to be a close game. Here, Ben battle compressors again, puts Empoleon, Lampent, and Joltik in the discard. Computer searches, Mew and a VS Seeker away. He gets, let's see what he got. The last card in this is a Joltik. So he probably got something earlier with the computer search that I missed while I was talking about how the matchup plays out. Anyways, Ben Juniper's here. Draws 7 cards. Ben plays 2 Rainbow Energies, so he can more easily attack with Manectric EX or Empoleon, but he does not feel like going for Empoleon with an Archie's play, because I believe he's probably had the opportunity so far this game, but he doesn't feel it's necessary. Which is probably correct, because there's a chance that the Empoleon gets Lysandered up and you whiff an energy, and you can't attack with it and it gets stuck there, or it just doesn't seem that it's worth it to just try for it, because he doesn't need it, which I agree with. I don't think he needs it. It's just going to come down to whether Jason will hit his energies and his EVs and his Flareons or not, and whether Ben can hit his energies for his Night Marchers. Okay, so here Jason's gonna battle Compressor. Discard some cards he doesn't want to draw. With the way that Jason's playing, I don't think he actually plans on ever using Leafeon unless he absolutely has to, which is probably the right way to play it. I would just rather stream Flareons than ever have to use Leafeon. Here he's going to use Mew EX, which is actually just might be the bane of this game. That prize, it's going to throw off the prize trade. Ben's going to take 2 prizes after knocking out the Mew, which means Jason can't set up. He did not get another Eevee, which means he wouldn't be able to stream Flareons. So he was forced to use Mew EX to attack for the knockout. He used Vengeance from Flareon with 1 energy, because Mew EX is able to take advantage of Ben's Dimensional Valley, making Flareon's attack only cost 1 colorless. A Mew has the ability Versatile. This Pokemon can use the attacks of any Pokemon in play, so he's just choosing to use Flareon, I'm assuming, because that's the only attack he could use that would knock it out. But here, since Ben has enough Night Marchers in the discard to knock out Mew in 1 hit, the prize trade will instantly go in Ben's favor, and I'm pretty sure he wins the game if he just finds 1 more energy to attach to that bench Joltik, and his Dimensional Valley doesn't get countered. But he did attach this turn, so he can't get it this turn. If he does not get End, and he has an energy for the next turn, I think the game will be over. Because once Ben knocks out this Mew, he's going to go to 1 prize. It's all going to come down to that. Here, he's Ultra Balling, finds a Pumpkaboo. At this point, he's probably just thinning his deck. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so he's going to Archies. I really like that play. Archies. He's going to get Empoleon out of the discard, put it on his bench, draw 5. The draw 5 isn't really that relevant this turn, as opposed to the Empoleon being on the board after he gets End. That's what's really important here. So Ben does not forget to Diving Draw, chooses Diving Draw, attaches a Muscle Band to Empoleon, attaches a Muscle Band to Pumpkaboo, just getting them out of his hand so he doesn't draw them off of an End to 1. And then he Night Marches to knock out the Mew EX, and draws 2 prizes. Jason promotes Slurpluff Tastings for 2, draws 2 cards. He's really looking for it to be able to end Ben to 1 this turn, and hope Ben does not get an energy to attack. So here's the N. Jason was able to hit it. N is a card that says both players shuffle their hands into their decks and draw cards equal to the amount of prizes they have. So Jason's drawing 3 and Ben is drawing 1. I did not get to see what Ben had, but Jason was able to draw a computer search, which could be very helpful next turn. Ben actually has multiple turns to find energy, so I think this game is pretty much over. Because Jason can't take all his prizes next turn. There's no EXs on the board. So Ben gets a Juniper, and Junipers, and is able to find the DCE to end the game there. This is how this matchup normally plays out. Both decks are fairly consistent, and they will set up most of the time. And if both decks set up at an equal pace, Night March will win most of the time, because eventually Flareon will struggle to stream Flareons. And they'll either be forced to use Mew EX, or they'll be forced to not attack because they will whiff an energy, or they'll whiff the Flareon, they'll whiff some piece of the puzzle. Or be forced to use Mew, and then the prize trade instantly falls out of their favor. I think for Flareon to win this matchup, he needs to get ahead very early, which is hard because it means Ben has to whiff. The other option is to potentially go in Polion. Jason does play 2 water energies. If he's able to start attacking with Empoleon for knockouts, and Ben does not get enough Night Marchers in the discard, Jason could win if Ben has to 2-shot Empoleon one turn, but it's just very unlikely that that will happen. Ben only needs 7 Night Marchers in the discard, which is honestly not that hard to do. There are 12 Night Marchers currently in the format, and Night Marchers in attack that does 20 damage times the amount of Night Marchers in your discard pile. Here they're just shuffling up for game 2. Ben actually has a Caitlyn mat from League of Legends, and Jason has a Professor Darkrai mat. That's actually really old. I used to own one. They're very nice. People use playmats just to protect their cards, like from the dirty tables, and they use sleeves to protect their cards as well. That's pretty much the norm here. Everybody has a playmat, everybody has sleeves. So Ben starts Jirachi EX. That's actually one way he can lose the game, by starting Jirachi, because it will give Jason 2 free prizes at some point during the game. Jirachi is by far Ben's worst starter, aside from Execute and other matchups where it could get donked. But here, Jirachi is the worst starter, 100%. So, Jason Junipers, play that hand. He was able to play Battle Compressor and put 2 eggs and Empoleon in the discard. He propagates 2 times, gets both eggs back, and then proceeds to Ultra Ball, most likely getting an Eevee here. So he already attached for the turn, so he's probably just gonna hit bump. Or no, it's his first turn, he can't attack, but he attached so he can retreat next turn. He attached before he got the Eevee, I believe, so next turn he'll be able to retreat Audino for Flareon, evolve to Flareon, and then hopefully knock out whatever Ben has active. And hopefully what Ben has active will still be Jirachi, since that's Fire Weakness, which means Jason will still be able to knock it out, even though I don't think he actually has 9 Pokemon in the discard, or I don't believe he has 7 Pokemon in the discard. But since Jirachi is weak to fire, he'll be able to knock it out pretty easily. So Ben is going to try to avoid that, and he's going to attach a DCE to the Jirachi and retreat it to Pumpkaboo to try to force Jason to knock that out instead of Jirachi. Ben might also actually be able to set up quite nicely this turn, depending on what he has. He just Ultra Balled 2 Night Marchers in the discard and got a Joltik, so he's going to set up for the rest of the game this turn. And he passes. Jason, as we know, will be able to get a Flareon this turn. He does not have a supporter though, so he's actually not in the best position. If he doesn't draw a supporter soon, he could be in a very rough spot. He decides to hit bump instead of use Flareon's attack. Now, because his hand is so dead, that play actually makes sense. He just wants to survive until he can draw a supporter and get set up more. If he attacks with Vengeance this turn to knock out Pumpkaboo, his Flareon's just going to get knocked out. And then he'll have absolutely nothing. Whereas with this play, hit bump forces Ben to have to retreat. Otherwise, his attack will be on a coin flip. And it could potentially buy Jason more time to draw out of his poor hand. Here, Ben is going to play another Battle Compressor. Probably just get rid of useless cards. I think he won't get rid of more Night Marchers. I believe there's more than enough in the discard. Okay, so no, he never discarded the Lampens before. Sorry, I was about to say Chandelure. That's the stage 2. So here he's going to discard 2 Lampens and an Empoleon. The following Battle Compressors will likely be for dead cards in the matchup. That Battle Compressor actually had relevant cards to discard. But he did not have an energy, so he was not able to attack. That's very fortunate for Jason. And Jason does have an Ultra Ball. I believe he top decked that, so he's going to Ultra Ball, get a Jirachi, Stellar Guidance for a supporter. Jirachi's ability is Stellar Guidance, which lets you get any supporter in your deck and put it into your hand. He's going to get Jirachi with the Float Stone, the Float Stone on the Jirachi, which is fine play. It means whenever a Pokemon gets knocked out, he will have the choice to bring up Jirachi, and then he can switch into any Pokemon he wants to. He's not locked into any decisions. Here, he's going to attach a Bengal to Flareon, and we'll see if he ends up getting another Eevee. Ooh, interesting play. He chose to attach a second DCE to Adino. That means he believes that he will have to use one of the energies to retreat. So, I do not hate that play at all. So what he's going to end up doing here is he's going to hit bump this turn. And unfortunately, he did not get an Eevee. He'll likely just attack with hit bump. And then the following turn, if his Adino does not get knocked out, he will use one of the DCEs to retreat. And then he'll have the second DCE to use hit bump later on if he ever needs to. I don't know, like a Joltik or something. He Junipered, so he would have discarded the DCE anyways. And they're actually very important in the matchup. So I like his thinking. He's planning ahead. Here, Ben is going to play Dimensional Valley and Juniper. Hopefully getting an energy this turn. Be very disappointing if he doesn't. He does manage to hit a DCE. Looks like his hand's pretty stacked right now. He has VS Seekers. I saw Computer Search. He's pretty much set. Unless he gets End. So here, Adino's gonna get knocked out. Jirachi will be promoted to give him because he has free retreat to give him options. He doesn't lock his Pokemon into play. If Jason's forced to use Mew here, and Ben is able to just get attackers, I think the game is just going to end pretty quickly, because we'll see a Mew knockout, a Jirachi knockout, and then a Flareon knockout, and the game will be over. So hopefully, Jason does not have to bench the Mew at some point during the game. So here he chooses not to bench the Mew to attack with Flareon, even though he does not have another Flareon in his hand. But he does have a Juniper, or he could have gotten a Flareon out of his prizes for the next turn. He chose to get a Juniper because he doesn't have another supporter in his hand, which is smart to take the supporter, because you're probably going to hit your Flareon off the supporter. You're going to either hit an Ultra Ball or the Flareon itself. Here, Ben attaches DCE to Joltik. And his hand is so good, he really doesn't need to do anything, honestly. We might just see him Night March. He has the option to play more supporters. He has the option to do a bunch of other stuff with his hand, but it might just be better to not play anything and save those resources. We'll see. Okay, so he actually wants to end Jason here. I wouldn't have mind doing nothing, and I also don't mind ending him into a lower hand to give him less options, especially since you know that Jason has the Juniper in his hand since he took it off of his prize cards. Here, Jason draws supporters, so he's all set. I didn't see what Ben drew, but it doesn't really matter as long as he has an energy and a supporter. He does need to find more Night Marchers, however, so he can continue to stream Night March. Jason's going to bench Ditto's. Ditto's ability is Transform, which lets Ditto effectively transform into any Pokemon. Like, you put a basic Pokemon on top of Ditto, and Ditto becomes that basic Pokemon. It basically allows the Ditto to be anything and everything. It's like a placeholder. You can also evolve the Pokemon if Ditto is on the bench already for a turn. So if Ditto's on the bench for a turn, you could go Eevee Flareon instantly, which is one of the benefits of Ditto. Here we see Jason bring up Flareon and knock out. And he's going to take an Ultra Ball off the prize, which means he's needs the Ultra Ball to get EVM. So we have full information, which means we know that Jason only has one Flareon prize, and he plays 4. So he will have access to another Flareon next turn if he hits it off of the Juniper, because he's going to get an EV off the Ultra Ball. Here we see Ben play Battle Compressor, and then either that or was like, I think it was Battle Compressor, and discard the Dimensional Valley. Yeah, he won't need that unless Jason plays multiple Training Center, which he does not. Acrobike. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one and discard the other. He got a switch off the top of his deck and just chose to discard Archie's. And then he will Night March. So here, Jason's gonna Ultra Ball. I think he has eggs though in the discard. I'm not sure if he's been forgetting to use them or not. Let me see. So he does have the eggs in the discard. It looks like they're near the middle, so he probably has forgotten to use them if he did Ultra Ball there. Because I can't imagine that you would want to discard those cards that he discarded. They might be very relevant. So, Jason has Training Center in his deck. If I was Ben, I would have checked that first. make sure Training Center was in the discard. And knowing that it wasn't, I don't think I would have discarded that Dimensional Valley with Battle Compressor, because there's a chance that he will counter your Dimensional Valley with Training Center, and you could be locked out of Dimensional Valley. Okay, so here it looks like, I'm not sure what's going on. I think Jason accidentally may have Battle Compressored a Flareon and a Bengal, which immediately loses him the game if that is the case. He may have thought he was Ultra Balling and put down the wrong card. He may have thought he put down Ultra Ball and actually put down Battle Compressor or something. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to talk to him after this game and see what was up with that play. It's just very odd. But if what I assume is correct, and that he played the wrong card, that is a critical misplay, and it will immediately lose him the game. Even good players make mistakes on the occasion, especially in a high pressure environment, such as being on stream. So Ben is just gonna try to set up another Night Marcher this turn, and then he will Night March his way to victory. Ben does play 2 Lysanders, so he will be able to Lysander the Jirachi most likely for game on the following turn. Now that Jason's so far behind, I don't think Ben minds playing the Mew. I also think that he may not have more Night Marchers. He may have discarded too many. Sometimes when you're playing Night March, you accidentally discard too many Night March cards to the point where you're forced to use Mew and attack with Night March instead of just having the other Night Marcher. Or you have to discard the Night Marchers and then they eventually just all get knocked out to the point where you're forced to use Mew. Jason actually now has a sort of a path to victory. If he's able to pull off an attack on the Joltik, you could force the Mew into being the only attacker Ben has left, and it would not be very effective. So, slight mistakes on both players' parts, potentially. I kind of want to talk to them after these games and just see what was up here. I have a question. Do you think we could get them after this game if we could get Jason just to come over here and talk for a little while? What? After the best of 3. I'm just curious. It's probably going to be over soon. If Jason can't Lysander up the Joltik this turn, the game will be over. I don't see an energy in Jason's hand, and I believe you might have already tasting, so yeah, now that I think of it, he has like almost no cards left in his deck. He might be out of energies as well. 4 DCE, 2 waters, and 1 grass. There's energy line. I saw 4 DCE in the discard. I saw at least 1 or 2 energies, so we will see. Okay, so he's going to trump card this turn, which means he is out of resources. If he has to trump card this turn, the game's over if Ben can get a Lysander. Ben only plays 1 Jirachi, and if Jason trump cards this turn, he'll trump card Ben's Lysander back into his deck, which will force Ben to have to hit Battle Compressor to discard the Lysander and then be a Seeker for it. So by playing Lysander's trump card, you basically force your opponent to have more stuff to be able to end the game. And it gives you your resources back, which gives you a potential to win the game. Ben also will have to get 5 Night Marchers in the discard as well now. Lysander's trump card is generally considered a counter to Night March because it puts all their Night Marchers from their discard back into their deck. That was another route to victory that I was not necessarily thinking of, just because it's a much longer route, but it is by far Jason's best option here. So he's probably just going to bring up, yeah, a useless Pokemon and pass the turn. Okay, so Ben's playing really fast, which means he probably just has the Lysander. Yep, he's going to computer search, get the Lysander, and probably bring up the Mew. Yep, because it has weakness, and then if he has 1 Battle Compressor, the game's over. Or is there an attack that he could use with 2? Oh. Yeah, he has a Rainbow on there, so there's probably an attack he can actually use. I'm not sure which attack he used to end the game, but either way, it was there. So the game's over. I'm actually curious what attack he used to end the game as well. Jason would be able to tell me that. Or Ben showed him what was in his hand, and that inferred that the game was over. What? Alright, so we have Jason coming over here. I'm just, yeah. Here, I'll move over. Yeah, I'm just curious about some questionable plays. Here you go.
What's up, Ray?
Alright, so when you battle compressored, was that supposed to be an Ultra Ball or something?
Yeah, I battle compressored and I was discarding Ultra Ball. But I decided I wanted to discard our battle compressor instead. So I ended up just putting too many cards on the pile, and I put 4 cards on the pile instead of 3. So I decided to just take the Ultra Ball back, and then we continued on with the game.
So you compressored a Flareon and a Bengal? You didn't think you needed the Flareon, or?
At that point, I was all I had was 2 water energy.
Okay, okay.
So I was just digging for those 2 waters. If I hit one of those waters, I would have killed the Joltik, and he agreed. He probably would have scooped.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was your only route to victory was to kill the Joltik, and then he had no Night Marchers left.
But yeah, 2 waters. I Juniper drew half the deck and whiffed, and then the tastings just never got there.
Yeah. Did you ever forget to use like eggs when you Ultra Balled and stuff?
Huh?
Or
What?
when you Ultra Balled, like you had like eggs and stuff, or did you just choose not to use them because you wanted to discard cards from your hand?
I wanted to discard cards from my
Okay,
hand.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was good games though.
Yeah, they look close. It looked like the Night March was about to like steamroll you, but then you kind of made a comeback. Because I think he might have accidentally discarded too many Night Marchers.
Yeah, just the game 1 when I kept trump carding, you know, that deck is just so consistent. It's able to, you know, just get those Night Marchers in there, no matter what you do.
What attack did he use to end the game there?
Oh, he attached Rainbow Energy, and with Dimension Valley, he was able to use Leaf Blade
Oh.
for 60. I was like, well, shit, man. That's crazy.
I know. I was really confused because I was like, what attack is he even using? Like, I thought like maybe he had like, because he had an Ultra Ball in his hand, so I thought he was like gonna propagate for like, and then get like Manectric or something like that to end the game. I thought that's what it was, but it ended up being Leaf Blade because I think he showed you his hand like as you like conceded. So I thought it was maybe that, but okay, so use Leaf Blade to end the game.
Funny way to end the match.
Yeah, Leaf Blade's Leafeon's second attack. It does 60 damage for a grass and 2 colorless, and it does, I believe, plus 20 on a coin flip.
Yeah.
Okay, plus 20 on a coin flip. So those are actually really good games.
Yep.
I thought Night March does have a slight advantage over Flareon.
It does because they're basics, but it's pretty even from what I've played.
Yeah, it just comes down to if you can stream Flareon.
Also, if Empoleon comes down, if
Mm.
either player gets Archies, that's huge.
Yes. That's what I was thinking, is that if you were able, you never actually were able to really get him.
I was never able to get it.
Mm.
Kind of stunk, but I don't
Yeah.
know. He game one, he was saying he had the stuff to get Archies, but he compressor Juniper instead with Versus Seeker.
Yeah.
He's like kicking himself over it.
I was like,
I was
there's-
confused
yeah.
myself. I was like, man, I'm done.
There were
Like,
some questionable plays like
Yeah.
that. I was kind of confused about that, but like I figured that either something was prized, or
yeah.
because it's hard to tell exactly like what is in their deck. So I kind
Yeah.
of figured it was either prized, or he just felt that Juniper would be better for some reason.
Yeah, but like he was explaining, he was like, but it would be the same amount of cards either way, because
Right. Well,
5 and then
yeah.
diving draw. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Empoleon's on there for like the whole game though.
Yeah.
So you would eventually get more value out of it.
yeah.
So it'd be better, but
But I mean, it's like immediate value. Juniper draws you 7, Archies draws you 5, and then you diving draw for 2.
yeah. But he had
Gets you
eggs,
up.
so it's like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the same value,
So
and then
it
added
was
value
just
every turn after.
a strictly better play. He just
Goofed. Yeah, that
yeah.
happens. Especially on stream, it's like you have like the camera and it's just
700 plus people watching.
maybe.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I was seeing before.
Oh,
And
okay.
chat was clueless because they're watching Executor
Oh yeah,
bore everyone to death.
yeah. This matchup was much more exciting than the
Yeah.
last one. There was no flipping coins every 2 minutes. Not even
No
way more
resident
than that.
sleeper, man.
No resident sleeper. It was only Pog champs. There will only be Pog champs today.
Go knockout! Knockout!
Yep. Exactly, man. All right. Well, good luck in the
Yeah,
rest of
take
the
it easy,
tournament. Sorry that you're 2-1 now.
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1. All right, and then Ben moves on to 3-0. So we're gonna go to the next round, and probably that was a fairly quick match. So probably like another half hour ish. Yeah. So should we take a break now? Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna take a break now.